All right. Hey, this is You Can't Make This Shit Up. We are your political innovators. Joel Hawksley, the conservative, David Washington, the liberal. We are your hosts from J in Washington LLC. Welcome to the J in Washington Network. And hey, we're right back at it. And today we are talking about one of our favorite subjects, workplace pronouns.
Oh, it's one of those things that oh God, it's gonna be fun. Hey David, we can't make this shit up. The state of Florida has I want to make sure I clarified before I went into this because our state likes to go into private business, instruction, and how I blow up
Yeah.
when that happens. So I made sure that this was strictly state employees and state contractors. So if you want to get a state contract, you'd have to apply by this rule. But I made sure that so I want to be clear. You know, I what is it? I, him, he, she, whatever it
Hey.
is. I can't ever like pop them off like that. But yeah, we have this identity problem. We need to make sure that everybody knows what to call us. Now in school, in the schools, you have to have parental consent.
Mhm.
In this bill, it would just be if you participate in this uh, pronouns thing, you you can't be forced to do it. You absolutely can't be forced to do it. Not that you can't do it, but you can't be forced to do it. And if it's absolutely a requirement, then you won't get the contract. So, what do you
Right.
think?
And a little background on this because I remember seeing this bill hit the socials and my news feed, and it's House Bill 599 that was filed by Ocala Republican Representative, State Representative Ryan Chamberlain. And it's an expansion of Florida's parental rights in education law. And just for some
I'll say it for you.
backstory.
Don't say gay, Bill, because I know you want to say it.
See, but Joe, see, when I saw this, when I saw the show notes, and I know it's one of our hashtags, and I say, okay, we're gonna use the actual name of the
And I
law. Out
appreciate
of,
that. So
you
that's
know,
why I shared.
so you beat me to the punch, but it is the parental rights in education law, and it's what this bill 599 that has caused such an uproar on the socials. It stipulates that state employees and contractors can't be required to use a person's preferred pronouns. State employees and contractors are not allowed to provide their employer with their preferred pronouns or be asked to be called by their preferred pronouns. An employer may not ask an employee for their preferred pronouns. Oh my God, say that fast 5 times.
Not
And
happening.
also, an employer may not take personal action against an employee based on their belief in traditional or biblical views of marriage or the employee or contractor's disagreement with gender ideology. And two more points: nonprofits or any employer, this is a key here for the nonprofits. Nonprofits or any employer that receives funding from the state of Florida may not provide training or any other activity on sexuality or gender identity. And finally, penalties for not following these rules would include discharge, suspension, transfer, or demotion. It will go into effect July 1st, 2024. It's the nonprofit piece that really jumped to my attention because here in Central Florida, there are a lot of nonprofits who get a lot of funding from the city, say for instance, Orlando, or the county of Orange, or of course, monies, funds distributed through the state of Florida, through those particular government agencies, and then to granted to the nonprofits. So this bill uh, has far-reaching implications that would cause the financial hardships for nonprofits who work with a transgender community, or just say the LGBTQ IA plus community, along with other communities, demographics that are would consider themselves harmed by House Bill 599.
Well, I think that's a lawsuit or an amendment that uh, it's going to, you know, it's going to happen. There's going to be a lawsuit because if you're, you know, if you're a nonprofit and you're working in the LGBTQIA plus, I got it on the first try. Hey, if you're working in that industry, you would be disenfranchising your what's the word I'm looking for? You'd be disenfranchising your nonprofits customers, customer base, or the people you serve. So yeah, I think this one here. I agree. It pops out in the fact that it's it seems to target a portion of the nonprofit industry that may not be that's specific. if that works, if that's the word I'm looking for. So yes, I think this targets that statement right there.
Sure.
Targets a community of nonprofits, and I see it being challenged. I, but I mean, again, this is you're forcing something on a group of people that may want to be involved in your organization that want to work for you, but just don't want to be in that ideology. I know a lot of Bible Christian groups that actually outreach to the LGBTQIA plus community that uh, that want to engage in making people feel comfortable, if that's the term that they to use, by using that, but not to ask, not to be able to engage in any conversation. Again, here's a speech issue that we might want to look at. Damn, am I becoming a Democrat? No, I can't. No, this is speech. Look, I'm about the Constitution. I see the Constitution gives you a freedom of speech, a freedom of press. I see that's an invasion into that portion here.
Yeah.
Now in the schools, I get it. Parents have a right to know what's being taught to their children, but now you're going into nonprofits that specifically you can't teach this ideology. That's a speech issue. So again,
Right.
here's the state coming up with a law that's going to cost us money in not only in passing it, but in defending it. So
Correct.
I'm going to be on the conservative side. Hey, yes, we should have these. We should have these laws that don't make you feel uncomfortable, but we should also have laws that say you can say what the hell you want to.
My concern is this. Again, this is the continuation of the culture wars. And what's the urgency for legislation like this when there's so much more of concern for Floridians, like the affordability of living in Florida, the ability to pay your property taxes, having a decent living, trying to afford to go to work and stay in your residence and provide for your family. There's so many issues that the Florida legislature should have addressed in their special session, and they failed to do that. And instead, they come back and they present House Bill 599. That's my first piece. And now I'll talk about the first part of the bill that we're discussing, and that's use of preferred pronouns. And you and I, we talked about this, and we're like, oh my God, we're of an older generation, and so I
an older but accepting generation.
exactly
We're on the
yes,
cusp of. We're on the cusp. So
yes
I
we are,
want
yes
to be
we are.
clear that
Right.
we
Thank you.
accept a lot more than like my parents. my parents would be like on this bill, like white on rice. It's like, Matt,
Right.
this is the real deal. We need to make sure that we're not being indoctrinated and all this other stuff, right?
Right.
That's where
Exactly.
now this
Exactly.
generation looks at it and goes, why the hell are they wasting their time? Like you're saying, like, why are they wasting their time? What does this do for, our government productivity? So we have
I
this.
agree, Joel. In regards to the pronouns, I I prefer when someone greets me and gets to know me and they want to call me by my name. I prefer David over Dave. And
Joel over
when
Joe.
Right. And so when someone asks me, do you go by Dave or David? I typically will say it's David. My mom usually calls me Dave, and I give her a pass on that. And my dad will call me asshole. Only once, only once, only
Remember,
once.
yeah, guys, if you want to, there's a whole episode on that. Remember,
Yes.
if you're a subscriber, that's where you want to go. You want to go to David's topic on asshole. No, it's a perfect segue, David. That's great. No, you've
Yes,
got to watch prior episodes to have a good understanding of who we are. So go ahead, David. I
exactly.
didn't
Thank
mean
you. So I understand. I would want to, whether it's, hi, my name is David. Your name is Joel. Okay. Is it okay if I call you Joel or do you prefer something else? And I think that's respectful. And I think that is a common decency. So I don't see what the big deal is if someone who was biologically a man introduces themselves as Mary. I'm going to say, okay, hi, my name is David Mary. I'm not going to question them. I'm not going to get offended. This is a human being, just like I am a human being. And there's a purpose for us to have that conversation. So if someone tells me, and the world changes and we adapt and we become better for it. So if someone says I prefer to be for my pronouns to be X, Y, or Z, whatever, I will do my best to respect that.
But
And
David,
if
you technically don't need to use a pronoun if you're doing what you're saying anyways, because
right,
if I'm in a conversation, if I'm using a pronoun, you're probably not in the conversation.
right,
So it shouldn't offend you if I say he, but when I use your name, I'm going to use your name, Mary. Hey,
right,
if Mary wants to get that report done, she has every right to do it, right? Did
right.
I say that to her
No,
or him? I didn't.
no.
I literally
You,
said that to somebody else. And if they say, what are they going to do? Well, he didn't get the report done. Okay, well, I understand. Did it really make any difference in our conversation?
yeah,
I called him she because that's what Mary is and looks like a girl with like I, I'm going to call, I'm going to do what's respectful. But that's a conversation. Pronouns are a conversation that you aren't even typically involved in.
exactly. I agree. And if I'm going to address someone, or even in a conversation that's not necessarily with that person that's the subject of the conversation, I typically will use that person's proper name just for clarification purposes, just to make sure that we're talking about the same subject, the same individual, so forth and so on. And I do that because of my own prior training, and I find that easier for me to keep track of conversations and the subject and the subject matter and the individual.
Well, my friend Matthew McMillan, he
Hmm.
goes by Matthew. But when we talk about him, we call him Matt because
Yeah,
we know that Matt is the guy doing the funds. He's doing this, he's doing that. When we speak about Matthew, we say Matt. But when I talk to Matt, I call him Matthew because
Matthew.
that's what
There
he
you
wants
go.
to be called. He knows he's called Matt all the time.
Right.
He does it offend him? No. As long as you call him Matthew, he's fine. So this is a non-issue to me that like putting it in a law just okay. I really see no no cost effectiveness to this, and it doesn't. Does it save any money? No. At the print,
Well,
you're still gonna have to print. You're still gonna have to print. If you give somebody that much extra room, they're gonna print somebody else there anyways, right?
right. It may save money if this law does pass. It may save money for the state in those grants to those organizations, like Equality Florida, for instance, that do trainings on LGBTQ plus LGBTQ
LGBTQIA plus.
IA plus community, DEI, so forth and so
I
on.
want you all to
It's,
know that David's the one who taught me this. So for me to get this right is making me feel really good today. Like I really got a good night's sleep, even though I didn't.
you got the you got the don't say gay before I mention it, and try my best to stay within the proper name of the bill. So you're on it today.
You're being a gentle. You'll be always a gentleman. Always a gentleman, and I'm always kind of right there. But no, I appreciate that. Like I appreciate good legislation, and this to me, it's being rushed because we have a supermajority. We'll have only one more term with a supermajority, um, and I swear we will because we'll win 35 now that the voters have screwed up on the Democrat side. So
I, I I think you'll still. I think the Republicans will still have a supermajority and maybe add to it. Believe it or not, the Republicans in 35 have a solid, proven leader in Erica Booth. All respect to Erica Booth and the Republican Party. They've prepared her for a very strenuous general election campaign. Um, the resources are definitely there, and the turnout was definitely there in the special election. With respect to Tom Keene, he's a fighter. He's run for office several times. This is his time. He needs a great deal of support from the Democratic Party and its allies to get him into office, and at least at a minimum, even though his effectiveness is going to be minimal because the legislative session would have already started, and um, he's missed the opportunity to file his 7 bills that he proposed, but he will be a vote if he is elected. And the same for Ms. Booth. However, with the Democrats and their allies, they really need to persuade and turn out the vote, get people excited, and between now and January 16th, and that's damn hard during the holidays. I don't know too many people who have run a special election campaign and have been successful at it, and it's even an um, added difficulty in trying to run a general election, special election campaign during the holidays.
So David, you need to cover this in your countertop politics. You should address fundraising in the holidays because that's the perfect situation. This is the perfect storm, right?
Yes,
You've
it is.
you've handcuffed your 35 candidates with either you fundraised really good before the general election or you're doomed, right? So all the money that's going to be spent will have to be party money. So I think that's a great topic to talk about being prepared if you're going to, like, how many people announce in November and then you, they don't have any money until January.
That's right.
So it's really important. So I think that, well, it's your show, but I think those types of things are what we, as innovators, these are things we overlook as candidates. These are the things that you need to have an advisor because they're going to prepare you for the situation.
I
Handcuffed
think.
handcuffed over the holidays is not the way to go.
Whew. Exactly. And when you don't have the resources as your opponent does, or the boots on the ground as your opponent does, and with time ticking away, uh, you're at a deficit, and the Tom Keene campaign is at a deficit. However, anything can happen. It's not a done deal. And I think we could talk about the special election because it's so unique in House District 35 across all of our network entities in one facet or another. You know, the fundraising, the whole, like you were saying, campaigning. You know, during that time, the whole thought process of preparing for it, and just how special elections typically operate. I think there's a space to do that across all of our properties.
Well, I appreciate that. Seventh Legion Media is here at UCF. John is here producing.
Woohoo!
We are
Go John.
not in District 35, but we are right next door to District 35. I want to kind of, shout out, UCF is right here next door to that district. So there's plenty of people, coming into the next term that they might, that both parties should be looking at, because quality individuals come from UCF. John is a product of UCF, and Dan and Angelina, the people you see on the show, that we have so much talent from there. And it's our local university. So we're proud to be out here today. And I'm looking really, Chicago looking really good right now, David, because you got the background going on and everything else. But let's let's share, let's have this topic. Is this good legislation, or is this just a waste of time? That's up to you. Let us know.
Yes, please like, share, comment, be a part of our network. We are your political innovators. Joel Hawksley, your conservative. David Washington, your liberal. This is You Can't Make This Shit Up. We'll see you the next time.